Hello, and welcome to the Franchise Connection, where Captain Picard is really good at dancing the mambo. I'm Matt Fisher.
I'm Matt Spark.
And today we're discussing Star Trek The Next Generation's third cinematic outing with Star Trek Insurrection. Engage spoiler alert. Star Trek Insurrection begins as Captain Jean-Luc Picard, Patrick Stewart, is hosting a diplomatic banquet when he receives a communique from Vice Admiral Matthew Dougherty, Anthony Zerbe. Dougherty informs Picard that he needs data schematics, explaining that data malfunctioned during a mission on Baku, and is now holding a Starfleet-Son'a team hostage. Picard offers to meet Dougherty to deliver the schematics, but Dougherty says he's in an unstable area of space called the Briar Patch, and that it's better to just transfer the information to him. Nevertheless, Picard chooses to ignore this order and redirects the Enterprise to head toward the Briar Patch. When he gets there, Dougherty and Son'a Commander Ru'afo, Admiral Abraham, tell Picard they were attacked by Data and plan to destroy him. However, before that can happen, Picard acts to find Data himself and manages to save his friend without anyone getting hurt. After Data is returned to the Enterprise, Picard and his crew go to rescue the hostages, but find that everyone is being treated rather well. Furthermore, Picard learns Baku society is actually more advanced than anyone realized. Later, Picard explains the situation to Dougherty, who tells Picard he can leave now, while the Vice Admiral stays behind to wrap up loose ends. Yet Picard can't shake the feeling something is amiss. Picard grows more suspicious when Lieutenant Commander Joy LaForge, LeVar Burton, tells him Data began malfunctioning when he was shot at by the Son'a, despite these aliens saying otherwise. Picard then talks to repair Data, who says the last thing he remembers about the mission was traveling into the hills with the natives. When Picard and Data return to Baku, they make a major discovery that reveals a massive conspiracy to take over this world. As the Enterprise crew helps defend the Baku people from the would-be conquerors, Picard will confront the masterminds behind this devious ploy and learn exactly why they are so determined to seize this planet.
Okay, so I've seen this movie before, and it was slightly better than I remembered it being on my first watch.
How so?
Basically, probably it was a case of me actually knowing what expectations to go into the movie with. But first time I watched it, I was essentially just bored out of my skull.
What about it was boring to you?
Just everything. It felt like a very dry episode of Star Trek that had been done better in TNG and even the original series.
I agree.
Going in with the right expectations, though, I don't hate the story. I think, it's still very dry. But maybe it's a case of me being older and getting a little more of what's going on, and B, having the expectations of, it's been done before and better in the show, but it's still fun to be with this crew, and the adventure isn't, like, the worst.
No, I agree. So, I'm going to share something funny with you about this movie. I ended up watching it twice. And you're going to say, why?
Okay.
Well, because when I was doing my write-up that you just listened to, I was looking at my notes, and I was just kind of having trouble putting exactly what happened together. Maybe because I was just a little tired, too, when I was watching it. This is going to teach me to have, like, a cola when I watch the movie sometimes. Even going on Wikipedia to just maybe look at summaries or IMDb. And I'm like, I'm not putting this together. So I ended up putting it on the first 30, 35 minutes of the movie, going like, okay. And I found myself saying, you know what, I'll just wrap it up. I got what I needed to do my write-up, but let me just go back and check it out. And on a first viewing, I agree with you. I think there's such high expectations after First Contact to get another movie like that when you jump into this movie, you're a little, I guess you could say, disappointed on a first-time viewing because it's not more of what you wanted. It's not more exciting space battles and over-the-top and scary villains. In fact, if anything, when I watched it again, I went, I said, this is essentially a classic or a run-of-the-mill episode of TNG. It's just something you would have seen on a TNG episode.
Exactly.
It's just I think the thing is maybe like you need something like First Contact for a movie story, even though they're trying to do what they have been doing on TNG as a show on a big screen. Yeah. And it kind of says maybe you kind of have to find a good balance between the two, which is, I guess, what First Contact did. Whereas this is like, no, we're giving you more of what you want, but at the same time, you're like, but I kind of want a little bit more action. It's a big screen. It's a big screen adventure. I really like the themes of this episode. Like you said, they have been explored a lot more, and sometimes maybe a little bit better in the TV show. but it still upholds everything that you've become accustomed to and what you expect Next Generation or any Star Trek episode to kind of teach you and learn
exactly.
from. Having said that, one thing I would have liked is maybe the villainy of the film and the
to be less cartoony.
And the villainy and like villains, whatever, same difference, to be a little less on the nose. Because I mean, the first time, and I'll go into more detail when we break down the movie, I saw like one of the characters. I was like, oh, he's evil. I'm like, so there's no surprise there. I think if it was hidden a little bit better.
I think it also the fact that the main villains are almost all deformed people.
It's kind of hard to, at times,
sympathize and...
well, yeah, because until later on when you find out why they're doing this, it's hard to be like, oh, there's this another race that just wants to take over the world and take the resources. But, yeah, I have to say, as a TNG episode, it was actually really good. As a TNG movie, like, it could
have been better.
It could have been better. I guess like I said, it was better than my first impression of it. And this is watching it like less than 24 hours after. But when you make a movie, you want a little bit more excitement.
Yes.
And this had the excitement of an episode, but not always the excitement of a movie.
Yeah, that's basically where I'm at, too.
Yeah, but yeah, I feel like maybe it doesn't deserve as much of the harsh criticism as I kind of got going into this movie.
Yeah.
I guess that's going to be saved for the next movie when we watch Nemesis. But we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
So Star Trek Insurrection is something you're familiar with. It's maybe not always... It's not a big variation of what you've seen before, but if you enjoyed it before, you'll enjoy it again. You just have to kind of set your expectations a little lower. Also, something interesting I thought, too, was... something I kept forgetting to mention in the last two reviews for Star Trek Next Generation films, with TNG. Make it easier for me. This is one of the first ones that Ronald D. Moore was in writing. So I thought it was kind of interesting. And, but yeah, I would have to say this is more on par with Generations than First Contact, at being more like an episode on the big screen.
Yeah.
Than
anything that's felt like a Season 7 episode. Very specifically the one where Wesley leaves the crew, leaves for the last time.
I was thinking of the one with Worf's brother, too. It
was like a combination of those two episodes.
In some ways, this could have been called Star Trek The Mixtape, because it was like the greatest hits of a lot of the episodes. And I guess that's a good segue to jump into the film.
Yeah.
All right. So, once again, Jonathan Frakes directs the film. And, like I said, first time viewing, I was like, okay, this is fine. It's funny, because like the first time viewing, like, a lot of things felt like a downgrade to me. And then, second watch, it does work. Not everything.
I think him as a director, he's a solid directing choice.
Yeah.
I just think the biggest problem with the movie was the script.
Because of the villains, or because
because of various reasons, but the script itself wasn't like as tight as it could have been.
Yeah, it gave you like one big space battle. Not that Star Trek always needs a big space battle, but you still want some more of those thrills along the way.
Right.
In some ways, a very more quiet, contemplating film, because even Generations had a lot more action to it at times. I
mean, this is definitely more of what I expect from Picard, instead of him being like an action hero like he was in First Contact.
Yeah.
It was definitely more of him being the captain, the moral center of the crew.
Yeah, also kind of defining things that don't always agree with him. He should have stayed on the ship, though. He's still the captain. Anyway, but that's TNG movie Picard. But yeah, I like seeing Frakes come back and direct, and he has a solid handle on storytelling and giving nice little character moments, and even the action, especially the space battle at the end, was really cool.
I mean, some of my favorite character moments were with Riker in this movie.
It's interesting. I thought Riker was toward the end. Before that,
I'm not even just saying like the little relationship moments between him and Troy.
They felt like they happened organically, but I have a question about that later on. So we open up on a planet that's essentially like Hobbiton. It reminded me of Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit. It's very serene, very peaceful, down to earth.
Very quote-unquote primitive.
Mm-hmm. And I also thought the music was really good, too, in this scene. And then we see everybody, living a life. They're growing food. They're making materials. And we pull back, and we see a Starfleet observation unit. Like the show.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing that reminded me of the episode where
they're doing the primitive Vulcans. Where they're responding to a distress call from a Starfleet crew that was or Starfleet archaeologists that were observing primitive Vulcans.
Yeah, and it was the Picard episode. Call it. Yeah, reminded me of that.
Where they all thought he was Picard was a god.
Yeah. So I thought it was kind of like a neat callback. And then all of a sudden, they're observing, they're wearing invisible spacesuits, and all of a sudden, Data's malfunctioning. And he's rambling on a lot of nonsense. You don't know what he's talking about. He's beating up a lot of the other officers that are trying to stop him. And
also, where did Starfleet get invisible outfits from?
Not important. I'm guessing in some ways maybe because it was a very covert operation and because of what we learned what this mission was about, they probably had technology that...
It was probably from the Son'a who were...
Probably from the Son'a, or it was from maybe experiments that they were working on for better suits, and they were like, oh, let's just use this for now. Plus, the guy's an admiral, so he can pull rank and be like, oh, we need this for
reasons.
That's the whole thing with the admiral in this movie. He's like, I need this. Give it to me. It's like, why? Don't ask questions. Give it to me. But yeah, and on the observation deck is one of the Son'a who's, like the Starfleet officers getting very worried, like, why is he acting up? What's going on? It does set up a really good, mystery. And also, it's like, oh, it's another data malfunctioning episode. That was, one of my first notes I had about it. I liked... Also, so they're using the phasers. Have the phasers always been this strong? Because they're, super powerful in this movie.
In TNG, for the most part, they always kept the phasers on stun.
Mm-hmm. I know at
times... But they have higher settings. Yeah. They just never use them.
Yeah, there's, one, I think, then they use one to, explode, when they're trapped somewhere. So, yeah, I guess
they also have a kill setting on the phasers.
Yeah, they can go really far too. So yeah, it's like, oh, so we get that episode call back, and then we get an episode of Data's malfunctioning. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes. I'm putting them together. Hence why I had to watch this movie twice. Data, his helmet gets taken off, and you see a floating head. It was kind of funny. Because all of a sudden the natives are like, what is this? And he's kind of looks at them. He takes off his suit, and he points the phaser to the observatory unit, and it reveals that they've been spied on.
Yeah.
And it's I also thought it was kind of cool, the way Frakes, they're really building up something's wrong with Data, and, he has, such a mean look on it. He almost, looks like Lord in a way, Yeah. He's stone cold. And then we cut to Picard on the Enterprise, and he's
getting ready for a diplomatic banquet with a speech and a dance.
With speech and dance, he's going to meet a bunch of aliens who have just developed warp drive a year ago, and he's trying to make peace. He's trying to bring them into the Federation, and I like to he's having trouble pronouncing. I didn't write down what it was, but the greeting that they had.
Yeah.
And DNS is like, you gotta enunciate this, and you gotta enunciate that. Actually, I think I did write it down. Oh, it's Eugene Chefal. And I hope I said that right. I don't have Troy here to pronounce it. But then it's a nice little humorous moment, too. Here's Picard, okay, I'm getting ready to do my duty as a captain and as a diplomat for the Federation. And then they mention, oh, yeah, they're eating the flowers. What? And Dana's like, we didn't know anything about that. Are they vegetarians? And then I know you often made the crack about, we should give them some balsamic vinaigrette for some nice chrysanthemums. And as they're walking to the banquet, my question for you, I guess this takes place after Deep Space Nine and
No,
Voyager?
it's still during Deep Space Nine.
Because they
mentioned the Dominion War.
Yes,
It's in full swing at this moment. This is actually between, I want to say it's between season 5 and 6, because this is the, like, Worf should be on Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
He should not be in this movie at all.
Hey, Cisco, I want to see my friend. I know we're in the middle of war, so I'll see you later. Cool?
Well,
okay.
No, because at this point, in Deep Space Nine, this movie aired between seasons
Oh, interesting.
of the show, but between seasons of Deep Space Nine.
But you're saying if this is during the Dominion War, Worf shouldn't have just been leaving his post.
Right.
They wouldn't have allowed him to.
Right.
Especially with something that's just like a customary measure.
Right. So, I mean, I love how when he shows up and he's like, they ask him why he's not on Deep Space Nine. He says something, but they pan away from it. Like they're like, we don't want to explain this.
It's gonna give me questions. But yeah, so it's the first time I would say since the penultimate episode of Next Gen that I was like, okay, I feel a little lost. Like I don't completely understand the timeline right now. So I mean, like I said, for the most part, like. You really can tune in, but like something like that, I wrote in my notes. Like I didn't know if it was like post DS9 or not because you made me familiar with the Dominion storyline. So I was like, oh, so this is taking place sometime around DS9.
Yeah, it's happening like towards the middle end of Deep Space Nine.
Do you like that they referenced it in this movie? Or do you feel like it doesn't add anything really?
I mean, I like that they referenced it just to give people like a kind of a timeline of where this is supposed to happen.
Yeah.
But it's still, as I said, it creates so many questions. Like Worf shouldn't be here, especially since between the seasons when this happened, when this movie came out, there was a big cliffhanger going on with Worf and Deep Space Nine and something involving that.
So it makes it even questionable about how is he there if this happened on that show.
Right.
Okay. Interesting. So, I mean, did you like seeing Worf in the movie, though? Or do you feel like they could have done without his character?
I mean, he's still a valuable member of the crew, and he does help out quite a bit.
I mean, he does do a good job as security chief in this movie at times.
His role could have been replaced by anybody.
I also like that Picard mentions how he kind of misses exploring space. It makes you see, like, I guess at this point in his career and the Enterprise's history, that they're less about exploring and more about just
diplomatic.
They're almost like a...
they're kind of like the crew of the TOS Enterprise during, was it the 6th movie?
They're like delegates.
They're delegates trying to make sure that
my positronic brain needed a moment to think about that. So I like that the kind of delegates are like. I kind of miss when we had a sense of adventure and it was less about just the duty and customary actions of Starfleet. Like that sense of adventure. I guess we jumped ahead. Like that Picard meets Worf. We went over that. And when they meet the aliens, I forget what the species name was, but. I liked them. It was interesting. I had a very kind of like Jim Henson look to them.
Yeah.
And I thought it was great that they're like, oh, Captain, hey, in our culture, we give you this. And it's a head dressing. And it makes Picard look like Pippi Longstockings. He's just... And he does pronounce the greeting correctly.
And then he gets a call from the Admiral.
And then the Admiral's like, I need the data schematics. He was on a mission. He's malfunctioning. And, we need it. And it's also like, he doesn't say why exactly.
Yeah, no. He's just like, Data's malfunctioning. We definitely think he's malfunctioning because he attacked Starfleet personnel.
And also he's like, he's building up to that. Oh, he's holding them hostage. And because it's kind of like, well, if you were in close to the area, we could just go over and just give you what you need. He's like, no, I'm in a bad part of space. It's dangerous. It's called the Briar Patch. You can't go here. And that's when the first moment I'm like, oh yeah, so this guy's bad, isn't he? It's just
he doesn't want you anywhere near because then he'll find out.
I mean the character,
what he's up to.
Yeah, I mean the actor is there, but he does a good job in the role. But the character is just very kind of like it doesn't hide anything. There's no sense of mystery to it. So the moment he asks for something,
especially since when he's doing that, he's right next. No, it's right after or right before he goes to talk to the Son'a.
Ru'afo.
And Ru'afo's like, well, I
don't get to that yet. Almost that.
No, I was talking about the technology about him like doing the face stretching.
Oh, actually, no, you're right. But yeah, because it's just kind of like, oh yeah, we have to go here. Plot of course over here anyway. Like the captain, that's in the opposite way. He goes, I know. I guess in some way you could say Picard has like so much of a rank. That I guess it's like, okay, he's known to do this.
Yeah.
It's also, he's a good captain. He knows how to follow his gut, and if something doesn't seem right, to get to the answers about it. And yeah, sorry, you were right. And then we get to meet Ru'afo, who you become familiar with the villain, but you forget his name at times, like the first time you watch it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, who was the villain? Oh, it was a Son'a. But what was his name? I don't remember. So
I mean, I did the same thing with all the Baku. Yeah. They were all just Baku.
Yeah. And it didn't help that they referenced them as like Baku or Son'a a lot of times. So that's how you ended up just kind of thinking about them. But say what you will about the characterization of the villain. The effects were really good.
Yeah.
It reminded me a little bit of, was it Brazil? The lady that had her skin being pulled back. It reminded me of that a lot because when we first meet him, his like head's being pulled back and he has these weird nurses around him stapling his head and everything.
Kind of also reminded me of what's her name in Doctor Who, the person who's just a piece of skin.
Oh yeah.
Moisturize me.
Yeah. So it does kind of feel very much similar to like it reminded me a lot of like Doctor Who villains.
Yeah.
And families in this movie. And then, like, you see him talking to Ru'afo, and I'm like, oh, he's bad too, isn't he? I'm like, it just, what makes a good villain, say what you want about Saran, but, like, there was a complexity, and there was a understandability to his villainy. Like, these ones, and...
We're cartoonishly evil.
Yeah, absolutely. And, basically, he's talking to Dougherty about what they're doing, that Starfleet wants to get involved, and he goes, he's getting frustrated that it's just messing up what we want to do here,
Yeah.
And there's a reason why Dougherty is working with him, but that's one of the mysteries for later. And then suddenly the ship's attacked by Data. And then
it cuts to the Enterprise, but
did you like the effects in the movie?
For the most part.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, I felt like some of the space stuff was a little like the CGI, the early CGI was noticeable.
Did you feel like they were better in? I think I was looking at it. I think they said like this is like the first time they used more CGI for this movie. I guess in the last one it was still models. Then.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why. I mean,
then the CGI was noticeable, but when it was model shots, it was great.
Yeah. But I mean, you get the the classic, the ship moving and smoke coming here and there, and then like you said, we cut to the bridge of the Enterprise, and the uniforms still look really good.
Yeah,
I really like the movie uniforms. I'm sure they had to be more comfortable. Although I did notice there's one part where Picard does the Picard maneuver. One of them, at least, because we learned there's another Picard maneuver in this movie, and. He talks to Geordi, and Geordi's like, hey, I came up with the device with, I think, a tricorder or something like that, or something, that can shut Data down, because he's, the way to stop him. And at the same time, he has Riker and Deanna to investigate the Son'a.
Yeah.
And we get the whole list of, like, who they are.
And what they've done, and they're, like, they are, like, straight up, like, war criminals. Yeah. Why would Federation even work with them in the first place?
The war criminals, the drug lords.
They have access to technology that's banned by the Khitomer Corps.
Which we've heard that before, right? In certain episodes.
I think the only one that was what was it, Pegasus, where the Federation was trying to make like a cloak ship.
In the phases, yeah. Because it sounded familiar. And in that moment, as we're learning about the horrific things that the Son'a have done, Deanna and Riker have a cute little moment together.
Yeah.
The floating together, and it's kind of like kind of Ross and Rachel, the friends. It's like finally, but at the same time, it's kind of like you pointed out, like the movies were the ones that kind of set this relationship more in motion, because on the show it never was like a little back and forth. It were moments
here and there, but it wasn't a thing.
Yeah, I feel like this movie definitely kind of like brought that out a lot more. But
which makes the beginning of the next movie make more sense.
Okay. But I like seeing Frakes and Sirtis like playing these kids in a way, kind of giving
in a flirty.
Yeah, it feels genuine, and like I said, it's very cute. And then we got to Worf being woken up, and Picard has a joke about the Enterprise versus DS9. He goes, I don't know how things they do on DS9, but on the Enterprise, we wake up on time. And Worf's just like, oh.
And they also, like, delayed Worf's return to Deep Space Nine.
He was busy with this. He was also going through puberty, which you find out later on in the movie.
Well, because of this, they were like, well, we're gonna delay Worf's return because I need Worf for this thing.
They
made an offhand mention that he was going to return to Deep Space Nine,
okay.
And Picard was like, "We're going to keep him here. We're going to delay his return."
I do like kind of the mention, because like when I saw his uniform the first time, more so in this movie, I would say, than the last one, it felt like he was coming off the set of DS9. But yeah, I like those little moments because it kind of gives me more context of where his character is in this time, and then after that, as he starts to talk to everybody on the bridge, we learn that Picard is a ship whisperer. And you want to know what that means? Because he talks to Joy, he goes, "Hey, I think the ship's off a little bit." And you're right, Captain, it is. He goes, "Yes, I know." It's like
I could guess that when I was a cadet.
Yeah. Is it because of the Borg implants he had? No, I'm kidding. But yeah, it's just, wow, Picard really knows his ship well. Yeah, you would think that would come up later in the film. No, it doesn't. It's just a way to
It's just an offhand
comment. And then, so they go through the briar patch, and you see why it's kind of dangerous. There's a lot of, like, hazardous gas floating around.
Yeah.
And then they go to the Son'a. So I kept reading sonar in my notes. It's Son'a. And that looks evil, too. Because they get a message on the view screen. And the background, it kind of reminded me of, remember in the Drumhead?
Yeah.
When Picard was sitting on the chair, the background, it had that like really interesting texture and design to it. It looked like that on a sonar ship.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh, so that's evil too. They must be evil. But then they go.
I really like the design of the sonar ship. Like the interiors.
The bridge was really cool. Yeah, I like that. And he had a very fancy chair to sit in. It was very comfy. But then,
I want that chair.
Yeah. And then so basically, Dougherty's like, "Oh, we didn't know you'd be showing up." It's like, you should have known. It's Picard. It's and the way you gave him the answer wouldn't help either. Be like, okay, sure, you need this. But anyway, then Ru'afo's like, "Yeah, your android's malfunctioning. We're gonna find him and we're gonna destroy him." And Picard's like, "No, don't do that." He goes like, "He's my friend. If somebody has to do this, especially you have to shut him down, it should be me." And they go, okay, they give him like a deadline.
They gave him 12 hours.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so he goes with Worf onto a shuttle, and they're approaching Data. And again, should Riker have been doing this instead? I'm sorry. I know at this point I should suspect if it's an action scene, Picard's going to be in that seat no matter where the action is.
Yeah.
And they find Data, and it's a cool kind of dogfight ship scene. And remind me of Top Gun a lot.
Yeah.
Did you think of that?
A little bit.
Yeah. Especially when Data rides up right next to him and looks at him. I expect him to give him like a thumbs up or something like Maverick did in those movies.
So the CGI in this scene was very noticeable.
Yeah, especially when like the crashing toward the planets and spinning. I got lost in the action, but it's hard not to feel like the effects were a little... They weren't as
clean
as maybe it would be. Obviously, it was the '90s, late '90s, but it was okay, the CGI. But at least the action was good.
Yeah.
And they want to. They're trying to beam Data over, but they can't. And
then they're discussing what was the last thing Data was doing on the ship.
Because they're trying to connect to him because he's so off of everything that he's doing right now. They're like, what can we do to jog his memory and bring him back to Earth, to the bridge, I guess you could say in this case. And this has probably my favorite line in the movie.
I think this entire scene is my favorite scene in the movie.
It's a fun scene. It kind of has the humor you want to Star Trek, the action, but Picard says to Worf, are you familiar with Gilbert and Sullivan? First off, he wouldn't be at all.
He was raised on Earth to Russian parents.
But I can see him going I'm not listening to this. You'd be listening to Sex Pistols or something. But Worf says probably one of my favorite line in the movie. Well, he says, I'm not familiar with the new crew members. It's so funny. And the way Michael Dorn delivers it is just perfect.
So deadpan.
And he mentions, oh, no, they were composers on Earth. And he said, last time I was with Data, we were practicing the HMS Pinafore, which we were going to be performing. And they start singing.
So, for someone who's not familiar with Gilbert and Sullivan... Yeah. He sure does know the lines to the song.
They were on the view screen. They were right there. I know. So I was laughing, are they having us sing? That's why I'm like, what is going on in this movie? That they're we want the audience to sing along. It's just, and I do like how he kind of has Worf go sing too. And Worf's no. He's shaking his head no. So I dubbed this the second Picard maneuver. Instead of pulling down his shirt, it's
the Star Trek sing-along.
It's a Star Trek sing-along to save your android crew member. You just have to do show tunes to make it happen. But they're able to dock with Data. And that's when you said, too, in that moment, the CGI, it was very noticeable when they're spinning around because it just didn't fit in. Maybe it was because, again, when you're watching a movie from, the late 90s with the old CGI on, a very high-grade TV...
Yeah.
It'll stand out a little bit more. If it was a little low grade, maybe it wouldn't have been as much.
Especially with the HD upgrade from the streaming service.
Yeah. But I have to say, you did kind of feel dizzy when they were spinning around that. But then they finally get to Data, and Worf has a device, and he's like, I got you. And Data's like, no, you don't. And he goes, oh, he's kind of hitting it. It's like, okay. And Data shuts down. And then they go back to the planet. And I like, too, that almost playing space hacky sack.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to rescue the hostages that Data supposedly had.
And that's when you find out that the planet actually had warp capability.
I thought that was a nice reveal. That they're oh, we don't have technology, not because we're not capable of making it, but because we had it and we decided to forgo it.
Yeah.
I thought it did actually a decent job characterizing the Baku in this moment to be surprising.
I think of the aliens, they have way more characterization and this moment here does a great job of being okay, this is what they are. You don't need more.
Yeah, and they go on to explain oh, well, we have something about why they were observing, and they're oh, well, we have something called Prime Directive. We can't interfere with another culture. We have to allow them to grow, to create warp drive in order to become a part and meet us and other planets. And that's when they're
we already had this.
Yeah, and they do it in a very good way, because the one guy's oh, his positronic brain was not working. They're how do you know what a positronic brain is? And they're oh, well, we know what technology is.
We've had it. We decided to forego it because we realized that having technology made us do less.
Dependent on the machines, and you do more creating something yourself than letting something else do it for you.
Exactly.
And they also mention how I thought it was a nice moment because they say how oh, you don't want to explore the stars, and they're like, oh, we have explored it, but we don't want to do that anymore because we're just going to keep moving on and on.
We'd rather explore ourselves.
Yeah, and live, and so I thought that was a kind of good moment, and it changed what you expected of what was going to happen. Like, oh, it's going to be a Prime Directive episode. It's like, no, in this case, they really didn't violate anything, which I thought was really interesting to throw in. But yeah, they see the crew members, and everybody's. It's not a hostage situation at all. I mean, they're having a nice outdoor dinner, and everybody's being treated very well. And they're like, well, we weren't expecting guests, but we're not, evil either. And also, your android told us to watch them as he went out somewhere else.
So Admiral Dougherty's like, oh yeah, we're gonna stay and wrap up some loose ends.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
And
because they're leaving now, they have data.
And Picard's like, why is he staying?
Again, it's another case of two without being so. He goes, oh, we got stuff to do here. It's like, but what were you doing to begin with? And it's also like, oh, you can go. I got it taken care of from here. It's like, no, you're trying to hide something. Even my notes, I'm like, evil, duh. I also like I like the design of the planet when they're leaving, because when they see it too, it's like Earth meets Saturn. It has like the rings around it. It's a cool design. As Picard is contemplating, something's amiss, something's not right, we go to Riker, who needs counseling, and this is a very flirtatious Riker we haven't seen in a while.
Yeah.
And, he's talking to Deanna. He's like, oh, do I sit down here? Do I lay down on the couch? Like, how does that work?
And then he lays a kiss on her.
Yeah. And she's like, I've never kissed you with a beard before, which...
And she's like, ew!
Yeah, but I don't think that's true, because I think she has. But, so recently, as I was recording, last year in 2025, I read a book about Riker and Deanna's first relationship called Mzadi. So it's kind of fun to see that version of those characters on the screen. Apparently it's not canon, but there's a bit of it in this movie. And to see them kind of like rekindle that first love at first sight moment, it was kind of fun. And like you said, I'll see where that goes in the next one. From there, because, we're going to get a few more moments of Riker and Deanna like that. At least one more. Picard's talking to Geordi about Data.
And Geordi tells Picard that Data's moral and ethical subroutine kicked in.
Mm-hmm. And why? I know why, but I'm asking you to explain.
It basically, something... He got shot at or something, and he short-circuited, and it reverted to that.
It was like a fail-safe that if somebody was trying to take over Data, he'd run away.
Right.
And he'd try to protect people from whatever, for himself and from others. Then we cut... Oh, and I thought it's interesting that Geordi's like... They do mention his eyes in this one. He's like, oh, my eyes hurt. He goes, why? He goes, I think I'm just tired or something. There's a lot of that going on. There's a lot of like, why are people acting this way? Why are they feeling this way? And then they go to Data, and they, talk to him about what happened on Baku, and that he had missing memory, and apparently it was something with his memory chips got... Was it short circuit or something like that?
They got a little corrupted.
Yeah, exactly. But his last memory was going...
He was following some Baku children to study them.
Yeah. And they were going to the hills, where it's by a lake and a dam. And then, so what do? They go back to Baku. It's interesting to see, like, the adults are kind of confused about Data, but, like, the kids are just kind of, the adults don't like Data because...
Of what he represents.
What he is and what he represents, but the kids are just like, confused about, like, he's an android. What does that mean? It's interesting, because that whole storyline, or that plot, does kind of come back later on, and I think that's another moment of how these movies are Picard movies
and Data movies.
Yeah, Picard's the A story and Data's the B story. Would that be the case next time? I'll find out. It's only one movie for them to have a Data story. As they go back to Baku, Riker and Troy are in a bath, and she's shaving him. So we get to see season 1 Riker again. I like Riker with a beard better. But the Admiral contacts him, and it's funny because...
and the Admiral's like, why aren't you gone yet?
It's like, oh, Picard wanted to investigate something.
The Admiral is like, why aren't you gone yet?
Mm-hmm. I need you out here to tie those loose ends that I can't talk about. But I also thought, too, like, the adults are kind of confused about Data, but, like, the kids are just kind of, not the adults, the kids don't like Data because of what he is and what he represents, but the kids are just like, confused about, like, he's an android. What does that mean? It's interesting, because that whole storyline, I get, like, in the military, you have to be always on call for, like, your superior officers to contact you. But, I mean, should they have the ability to contact you when you're in your bathroom? Because it's just kind of like... Also, they said there's a command, and Riker's like, okay, but he has to have to, like... Usually they have to touch their emblem or whatever. Yeah. I guess it doesn't work that way in the bathroom. Maybe you're occupied. I'm like, they can't have one moment together? Him and Deanna? Why? Now that they're together again, almost. So then we cut back to the Admiral, and we realize that the Son'a need genetic manipulation to keep living. That they're pulling the skin, and
genetic manipulation is not working anymore, or is starting to fail.
Yeah, because basically they're kind of doing like facelifts constantly, because the bodies are just breaking down, and we don't know why. It's just kind of like, oh, so it makes you wonder what about this planet makes them want that. Like, why do they want whatever's on this planet? Why are they investigating it? Then we get to the lake, where
and we find out neutrino emissions are coming from the lake.
Yeah, and then we get Data under the sea. I
even wrote that, Data under the sea.
Wow, I didn't look at your notes. But it was a funny moment for Data just to be looking at the fish. It was kind of like if you dove in an aquarium or something. But he finds like this neutrinos coming from the lake. They're like, why would there be neutrinos coming from the lake? He comes out of the water. Also, there's a funny moment.
And he jumps on top of the dam.
Yeah, but before that, there's a funny moment, too, where, like, the kid that's with the group, it's like, is he going to rust? And, like, no, he's fine. I don't think until, like, would water affect Data? I guess not, based on... I mean, he is wearing kind of, like, synthetic skin, so...
He's also not really metal, either.
Is it like an alloy or something?
He's like some kind of, like, metal plastic alloy thing.
Okay. So his
future.
Yeah, his father's like, it's gonna be a moment where he might have to go underwater and meet fish. So I want to make sure he doesn't rust. But yeah, so they drain the dam and they discover a vessel. They go closer to it. They actually like have to go in the lake. And so one of the Baku, one of the few whose name you do remember because they mention him more and she becomes more of a character. Anish. They're like I guess I don't know if it's not her husband. It's just a fellow member of society. And he's like, I'm not going there. She goes, well, I am. And she goes on the boat with them. When they get to the vessel, it's cloaked. And as they get closer, it opens up, and they're like,
why is there a Federation holodeck in the middle of the lake?
And why does it look exactly like a village? And they also realize that it's not completely...
it's malfunctioning, which reminded me of, and you, of the Worf's brother episode.
Yeah, I mean, it was so on point with that, because in that episode, his brother, there's a species, and it's almost like, in this case, the species in the episode are the Son'a, because their planet's dying, whereas the Son'a, their bodies are dying.
Right.
And they want to transport them to a new planet without them realizing it, so they beam them up to the holodeck and recreate the cave that they were in without them knowing about it. And it raised a lot of ethical questions around the Prime Directive or anything. But yeah, it was very
while they're in the holodeck, they're going on like a pilgrimage.
Yeah, like it's more complicated in that episode than this movie, but it's very inspired by, and borrowed in a very interesting way. And then we get a fight scene, and that's why I also said like, the phasers always this strong? They jump off the ship. Picard has to save Anish because she can't swim. And Data's there too. It's like, I'm a flotation device, and like suddenly he becomes like a Batman gadget. Like the Data can do
go gadget Data.
Yeah, I was just like
go gadget motorboat.
Yeah, everyone's put the gadget. Yeah, absolutely. I guess Spot would be his dog, except it doesn't have the communication device. But then we go back to the bridge, and they talk to Worf, and Picard's kind of informing them, hey, we found this thing, we need to investigate. And he's like. And when I watched it again, I had the subtitles on because we have the first time we watch it, and I heard Data go, "It's a pimple," and Worf's just kind of like embarrassed, and he's like, "Oh well, you can't notice it at all." And so they meet up with the rest of the team, and we get a fresh face Riker, and he's back. Like I said, he's back to the season 1 era, and something I noticed too. I'm like, there's no awkwardness between him and Worf, unless Worf doesn't know what's going on with Deanna. But then again,
I don't think he really cares
because he's been on DS9 this whole time, right?
He's been on DS9 this whole time,
which tells.
And spoiler alert for Deep Space Nine, he's married.
Oh, it's a 30-year-old series. It's okay. But I guess the other thing too is like if he was going DS9, that relationship was gonna end anyway.
Yeah.
It wasn't gonna be able to continue. But if anything, maybe Deanna is what led him to finding who he finds as a wife in DS9. Okay, so that answered my question. And and they make a point. Riker's like talking to Data. He's like, "Oh, look at my face. I'm shaved." And he goes, "I'm as smooth as an android's bottom." And Data's just like he's feeling his face. And he's like, "No." He's just shaking his head. No. And like I said, Frakes he's having moments. These moments he's having a lot of fun, whether as a director or just as an actor.
Yeah.
It shows. But then he goes to Crusher, and she's explaining like, "Yeah, everybody that we got back, they're fine because they had to put them in quarantine when they got back, so they know like what goes on this planet, and they're healthy, the metabolism's fast, they're better than they've ever been."
It seems like they're de-aging.
Yeah, and then we get to Picard goes to his room and he goes, "Put on some music," and then they play classical. He goes, "No, something Latin," and I guess this is how tired I was when I was watching him, like the language Latin, like what kind of music is that? So I wasn't really thinking maybe at the time I was watching the movie. I'm glad I rewatched it. But yeah, he puts on Latin music and
he does the mambo.
Yeah, and he starts dancing, and props to Patrick Stewart. He does a good job. He doesn't dance a lot, but kudos to his skills. And Picard notices too that he's like, "I think I'm getting younger," like because he has more energy than he's ever had in a while. And so that's when he goes back to Baku and he's talking to, I guess you could say, the leader of the community and Anish. And they explain that the world they left from was ravaged by war. They found this place to live on, and they've been living there for 900 years.
Yes.
And they don't look an age over whatever the age was when they settled here. And they realize it's the radiation, something to do with the rings on the planet, that rejuvenates them so they never get old. I mean, and it's
basically a fountain of youth.
Yes. And there's a part where the kid that was asking about Data rusting if he went to the water, Picard's like, "Oh, so you must be 72." And he's like, "I'm 12." And they realize that it only reaches a certain point. Like, you have to grow to maturity, and then from there, you'll stay the same age. And, but Picard has a nice discussion with them about what's going on. They don't want to fight. They want to stay out of this.
They want to stay out of it, and they basically just want to explore themselves and try to find and learn different skills because they have forever.
Yeah, but that's when Picard's like, "What you're telling me, this fountain of youth that you found, so the Son'a and Dougherty, that must be what they're after. There's a conspiracy to set it up. Maybe something Data, and that's what Data discovered.
Yes,
they were going to transfer them off planet." Without them knowing, and then take the resources for themselves. And yeah, it's a heavy-handed metaphor and touches upon many historical moments. But I mean, it still works. But it's just a lot of the movie isn't subtle, and I think that's what kind of like makes it feel a little frustrating at times.
What made me think of the last Wesley episode was when they were talking about forced relocation.
Okay.
Especially of native peoples and like the
right.
And Wesley, when he left, they were about to relocate a Native American group of people off space.
They go on to explain too that again, made me think of another episode that the younger generation wants to go off-world and explore more. And it reminded me a little bit of the episode when Worf discovers the Romulan Klingons.
The Birthright two-parter?
Yes, because it was like you have a group of people that have been, I don't want to say forced, but have been conditioned to live where they are and want to grow on their own instead of in the community they came from. So it had that idea to it, and that does come back. And I also made a point, this movie is a better Fountain of Youth movie than The Fountain of Youth.
I mean,
I know you can't compare the two different things, but it popped in my head. I'm like, yeah, we watched two different Fountain of Youth movies. This one's a little bit better. But, I mean, that was fun, but it was okay, too. I couldn't help but think about that. Yeah, I said before, Picard goes on. He discusses how in his history, his society, there have been many moments where people have been forced to relocate because of where they are and where they live and what's growing from the ground or what's underneath the ground. And it's kind of him showing history's repeating itself. It reminded me a little bit of The Drumhead in that way, where that one was about conspiracy of paranoia. This one's point about history repeating itself again, that even though they can explore space and everything, certain events still find a way to happen again.
Yeah.
Then he goes and he has... we get the romantic subplot, which we haven't had in a TNG movie yet.
No.
Yeah. But...
this was Picard doing his best Kirk impression.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. But I do like the relationship that was kind of built between, even though it doesn't go anywhere and probably wouldn't unless he stayed on that planet. But yeah, he's talking to Anish about how the society is able to take time to perfect the skills and just enjoying. And the theme about the movie too is just, enjoying the moment you have. And it's a very, very subtle, very charming scene between the two of them. It's always nice to see Picard kind of how he changes when he kind of starts falling in love.
Yeah.
And we see that a lot. It reminded me a lot of like episodes where like he fell in love with the officer on the ship or with Bosch. That they do try that, but it feels like Picard's always going to be a bachelor. Like he's devoted so much to his job that
it's either that or he'll eventually go with Crusher.
Yeah. And I guess I'll find out when I watch Picard down the line. But yeah, it's a nice moment. There's a nice little back and forth between the two of them. And then you see him walking around the planet, and he's, enjoying the scenery. And for a moment, then he cut to like somebody looking at a sunrise. And I thought it was Picard, but I guess it was Geordi. But it made me think of the scene from the studio where they were watching the fake movie Ron Howard was making.
Oh, yeah.
And Anthony Mackie is like here
staring.
And then there. I'm like, is this Picard just going everywhere? Like, I feel like I should hear like some music being played. And then he sees Geordi, and
they go and see the sunrise
because Geordi's eyes are all healed. And he's talking to Picard about how amazing this is,
and he's actually able to experience the sunrise for the first time
through his own eyes, not through the lens that he's seen. And he really wants to appreciate it, even if it's only for a little bit.
Especially since he knows that as soon as they leave the planet, it's going to go back to the way it was.
Exactly. Yeah. And then Picard's back on the ship. And they're just complaining about what's going on with the Baku, that they can't continue the mission. And we get our first brilliant no from Abraham. It's not as iconic as the other one, but he's like the yelling with the Admiral. He's like, no! It's just a very kind of like from like a Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's talking to the Admiral and trying to go over the details of what's going on this planet, that, we need to get them off world. They're not native, so, them take them off the planet. We're not destroying anything. We're just sending them somewhere else to live.
We're setting things right in the first place. And Picard's like, no, this is still against the Prime Directive.
Yeah. And the Admiral's like ordering him to do it. And Picard's just kind of like, I'm not. I'm going to stay here and fight if I have to. And and that's when the Admiral's going on about why he joined up with the Son'a. That he's like, they have the technology to capture this power, this resource, that we can use for the Federation. We can make it better. And it's like 2 times in the movie that they mention how the Federation is suffering. Because, like you said, this is the Dominion War.
The Borg are still around.
Yeah.
And they're being on threat. The Romulans are still a threat.
Yeah. And they make a good comparison at one point, because the Admiral's talking and he says, this isn't anything new. Like, there's a lot of history repeating in this movie, but he's like, yeah, back in the 21st century, these barons would become oil businessmen.
Yeah.
That the Romulans created warp drive, the same thing happened with that, and he's like, why not give ourselves a... I'm jumping around a little bit. The point making, he was trying to say, like, this isn't anything new. And then he's saying, we need this ability and this resource to make us stronger so we can keep fighting. And
Picard's like, it still doesn't make it right. Mm-hmm. And I'm going... And then he basically tells his crew to defy orders.
Yeah. And what I liked about this movie, too, is which we didn't get in the last one, as much as I really liked the last one, we don't get that Picard speech. And we get a Picard speech a couple of times in this movie. And he's talking to Admiral about, like, why relocation's bad, what the Prime Directive is, and like saying like how many people do we have to move before we become the bad guys? We can't do this.
We can't keep doing this.
Yeah. And the way you see him stand up for his morals is he goes to his room and he takes off shrinks.
Yeah, he's like, if this is how Starfleet is, I'm gonna leave and go and defend these people myself,
because
as not as a member of Starfleet, but as me.
Yeah, as a person. Sorry, I forgot. And also, they've captured some of the Son'a. That's why Ru'afo showed up on the ship, because they wanted them back. And Picard's like, no, I'm not going to. And then finally he's forced to do it.
He's like, well, I'll give you back, but I'm not leaving.
I'm going to help these people. Yeah, I don't know what you really want to do. And, then he finds out, and it makes him more like, well, I definitely want to help them even more now. It's like, Admiral, you're not helping the case.
Because obviously bad guy is obviously bad.
Yeah. And then I like how you see Picard arming himself up, ready to defend by himself. Who shows up? The whole crew.
Well, all the bridge crew.
Yeah, well, the main cast, I should say. The other crew's like, where is everybody? Well, Ensign, what are you doing on the bridge? I don't know. They said they had to do something.
And then he sends Riker and Geordi back, and he's like, we need to put a face on what's going on.
We need to tell the Federation Council. Oh, that was it too. Yeah, he's like, oh, hey, I'm going to take this to the Federation Council. That's because says to Dougherty, and Dougherty's like, well, they know. And he's like, oh, well, then fine, I'll take care of it myself. But yeah, like you said, he has Geordi and Riker go so they can expose what's happening while they stay behind to help the Baku. Because basically the Son'a, they want to find another way to relocate the people, and they think they found a way using the DNA or something. I also like, this is like the third time we've had Data kind of get like an action moment, and then he picks up one of the big laser rifles and he's like, lock and load it, and it's like, he's becoming more human. At least from an action perspective.
He's becoming more like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. Oh, I want to see Data and Commando doing all the funny quips. Ripping a chair out and sitting in the seat so he can hide even though you can still see him. It's a fun movie. We realize that at this point, because they know that Picard is not going to... that he's still on the planet. Because, like, oh, the Enterprise left, but there's a shuttle that went on the planet. So Ru'afo's like, okay, fine, you know what? We're going to take the resource and we'll just destroy the planet. We don't care. We don't care. And
as they're basically setting up the anti-teleport field, the Son'a start to attack.
Yeah, so they go down to the village and they're setting up this thing so they can't actually beam them away.
Right.
Oh, yeah, so I jumped ahead. But anyway. And he's going to exodus out of the village. They're trying to get to another location
that's shielded from... that's naturally shielded from the transporters.
Yeah. You think there's a lot of planets like that? I mean, I guess we have seen that. That they're like some planets that you can't actually beam off of.
Whether because of atmosphere or this or that.
And then the ships are attacking, and we get that old Hollywood action feel that I guess you don't really see anymore, but like you see like the explosions actually coming out, the lasers popping out, people doing flips when they're falling
off the bridge.
Yeah. And I have to say, like, that's something, like, I guess because the last one was so action-packed, in some ways it's nice to have more of a thought-provoking and driven storyline than an action one. I think you kind of needed that, because if you did action back-to-back, it would start to lose what makes Star Trek in a way. But, I mean, I do agree with you, like, the movie is more, the themes of it are sometimes better than the actual story.
Yeah.
I put in my notes, I thought that Dad died when they were crossing the bridge. I didn't realize that he was getting teleported. Yeah. Even though he disappears.
Well, the Son'a were saying, at least at first, they weren't trying to kill any of the people.
No, they just wanted the planet for the resources.
Yeah.
They're actually, in their warped mentality, they were trying to, like, oh, we'll keep them safe while we steal from them. Yeah. It's, like, not a good way to view it, but that's how they were thinking of it. And then, then we get to, I'm jumping around a lot in this movie, because I guess it kind of blurs together in some ways. But then, the Admiral's going on, or Ru'afo. I really don't remember.
Yeah. Ru'afo's and the Admiral are talking, and the Admiral's being strong-armed by Ru'afo, and the Admiral's just being spineless.
Yeah, he's just kind of like, he goes, you're going to do what I'm telling you to do because A, you want this.
And B, you're already involved.
Yeah, and he makes a point that, like, the Son'a, like I said before, and the Federation are somewhat in the same boat, that they're all falling apart and it needs something to keep them vibrant. And the Admiral's way of, like, well, if I had to do something bad, to do something good, that's fine. But, yeah, at that point, like, Ru'afo is just stepping all over him. The Admiral is losing any power or stance he once had. And so then, oh yeah, so we're kind of remembering the movie as we're talking about it. Honestly, that's why he keeps stumbling. But they realize that Riker is going to expose what happened. He's going to tell the truth.
So they send ships after him.
Yeah. And so then we get the team split up,
which is why I said the Admiral is being spineless, because he's like, I'll let you send the ships after.
That's right, because he's like, you can either do this or you can send the ships, and he's like, fine, send the ships, just do it. We're just saying that he's putting more on the value of the resource than he is the value of his actual job and his officers. And then we see the Baku being led by Picard and his away team, and in my mind, I was thinking kind of like the Trail of Tears in a way. You know?
Yeah, that and a little bit of like the Exodus.
That's true. Yeah. Does that make Picard Moses?
I guess.
But
I mean, they weren't trying to find a new homeland. They were just trying to find a way to stay safe.
Yeah. And the scenery was very good in the scene. I have to say, like the Frakes, like, and the cinematographer, who I forgot the name, like they capture a nice, beautiful landscape, like why this planet is so special and precious. And you definitely see that as they're walking through it.
Yeah.
And then we come up to Data talking to the kid that was early in the movie,
and he's learning how to become a child.
Yeah. And it's interesting because, like, I guess because in Data's mind too, he's still rather young compared to
what he could be.
Yeah, that he's still kind of learning like a child. Like that, he's always been a bit of a child. Like, learning and growing to be a person.
He's Pinocchio.
Yeah, and so it's interesting to hear him. He talks to this kid, and the kid's like, "Oh, I don't know what it's like to be a kid." Data says, and the kid's like, "I don't know what it's like to be a she." And they're both talking about it, and he's saying like, "Oh, you're gonna grow, and I'm always gonna be the same
specification."
Yeah, and that. He comes to the biggest reveal for Data, which is he's never had fun or never played.
Which, I say BS on that.
That's why.
Because, I mean, what is he doing on the holodeck when he's being Sherlock Holmes? And
he's following a program. I mean, I think it's a different kind of fun.
Yeah.
It's fun with his crew members, but it's not fun him just doing something just to do it.
Yeah.
When he's on the holodeck, he's playing in a program. This kid's just telling him just
do something
spontaneous.
To do.
Yeah. So it does. That's like the B plot with Data, is him learning how to just kind of have fun. But my question too, now that I think about it, is they mentioned his emotion chip is taken out.
Yeah.
But I thought it was bonded to him at this point.
And they fixed it
after the skin got melted in First Contact.
Well, no, it got what was it? It got melded with him in.
He said resistance is futile.
He got melded with him in Generations.
And he had it.
And then they fixed it, and it was no big problem.
Okay. Good enough. And then it's the subplot they have with Data, it does carry up on that whole Data trying to be human and learning what it means to grow. Like,
yeah.
Is that, I guess that's a narrative thread throughout these movies, if there is one. It's Data learning to finally become human, even though we spent 7 seasons doing that. Now we're doing it again.
I mean that's basically Data's plot in general.
It's a case too of like he can always try to be human, but he never will completely be human.
Right.
Yeah. Which is, I guess, what he was trying to say to the kid too. Then we come back to Picard and we see Worf, and he's like, "Why is your hair so long?" He goes, "Well, when Klingons go through puberty, they look like this." And it's like, "Oh, he might get aggressive later, so be careful around him."
Also, let us know when you're becoming aggressive.
Yeah. It's like, okay.
Which becomes a thing later.
Yeah, but it's helpful. But then Picard, as I head into the caves, Picard's talking to Anish.
And she's like, I'm 300. She's like 300 years old.
Yeah. Well, they're 300 years old, but they've been on the planet for 900 years?
Yeah, she's 300 years old.
Okay.
So, I guess she wasn't one of the people who settled the planet.
But I was right when I said 900 years. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe she came later on or something.
Or she was born on the planet.
Oh, good point. Yes. Yes, that makes more sense, actually. But then I like that she's talking to Picard, and she says to him, she's looking at his head, and she's like, I've never met a bald man in 300 years. And Picard's just kind of like,
and he's like, and in 300 years you didn't learn how to swim?
Yeah, because I just haven't found the time. But that's from the old conversation. But I feel like there's so much flirting in this movie, but they give like a plot reasoning, which is because of the rings. It's just making everybody very reverting to a more rambunctious and energetic state.
A much younger self.
And then she talks to him about enjoying moments and how we find the perfect moments of like time stands still. Big question for you: she can stop time? Or was it just a metaphor? Because I was a little confused about that.
So I don't think she can stop time.
Yeah.
I think she, in her time alive, she's learned how to elongate a moment.
How?
I don't know. To find the perfect moment.
Because, it comes in handy when she's injured later, and she has to make sure she doesn't bleed out.
Well, no. She doesn't. She's not the one who does that. Then it's Picard does that.
So I guess you can tap into powers. It's a little like
I don't think it's actually powers. I think it's just.
Is it metaphorical? Really?
I guess that's the best way I can explain it.
Because that makes more sense than like them literally stopping time. Because then if that was the case, they could just get rid of the Son'a real quick.
Yeah, I think it's more metaphorical and.
Oh, that's like so special between the two of them that time feels like it's just stopped.
Exactly.
And the hummingbird is going slow. It's Zack Snyder house. But everything is slow motion. Maybe Rebel Moon takes place on Baku. That's why the retarding took so long. We will at some point probably review Rebel Moon for them. But going back to this sci-fi franchise, we see that Riker and Geordi are and the Enterprise are being attacked by the Son'a.
And the warp core gets breached. Mm-hmm. So they're like, well, we're going to have to detonate
This is the third time the warp core's been... Each movie... Well, Generations, I guess, it didn't get breached. Did it get breached?
I think so. I don't know.
I know in First Contact, they destroyed
They jettisoned it.
Yeah. By they say resistance is futile. But yeah. So they're going, and we know that. They make a joke about like 4 times appeals. Like, is that a greeting? He goes, it's not a greeting I like. So we get the space battle being built up, and then we go back to Baku. And at this point, like a lot of these movies, I'm noticing too, there's a lot of jumping back and forth in the third act of these movies.
Yeah.
You split up the team, one's off in space or something, and one's on a planet, and they keep going back and forth.
Well, before it even jumps back, the Son'a shoot their subspace weapon.
Yeah, right, and they were talking about why those were banned, because they're unstable and everything. Especially in the region
Which is why they detonated the warp core to seal the breach.
Yeah. So... As that's getting ready to happen, we go back to Baku, and we hear Crusher and Troy talking about how they feel much younger, and David overhears them, and then he goes.
My note was Troy and Crusher girl talk.
That's the best way to sum it up. And then Data goes up to Worf to say the same conversation, and Worf's just kind of like, what are you talking? And before anything can happen, the Son'a have found a way, like we said, to tap into
DNA. They found a way to tag the Baku with drones.
Yeah, see, it's not easy to remember these names back and forth, even though they're so simple. But yeah, so they're being abducted, and one of the people that gets abducted is Anish and Picard. Along with a lot of, I think most of it.
That's later.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Is it? Yeah, it's later. because we find out that the Baku.
Okay. Sorry. I thought it said abducted in my notes. It says they were being attacked.
Yeah, they were being attacked. They make it to the cave.
Right. Okay. Right. Sorry.
But they also found out that the Baku and the
wait,
Son'a...
no, because that's later. But yeah, so we go back to Riker on the ship on the Enterprise, and they realize, we can use the Briar Patch to our advantage. And I know you're gonna laugh at me when I say this. I don't think I ever read Brer Rabbit.
Brer Rabbit.
So, what was the context of that?
So, Brer Rabbit, it's one of the...
Because Riker says, we're going to do what Brer Rabbit did to whatever, the patch.
So, it's actually a reference to Song of the South.
The Disney movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Brer Rabbit is one of the stories in Song of the South.
Okay.
And...
Was it from that movie, or was it an actual story?
I think it might have been a story before that, and then they adapted it in that.
Okay.
But he's this like trickster rabbit who is messing with the other forest animals, and I think it was a bear or a fox or something like that, and he was basically trying to trick him. And
so he was so the reference was like, we're gonna trick the Son'a by going into the Briar Patch, like the rabbit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's also the one thing that they kept for Song of the South in Disney is the water ride.
Well, I think it's changed by now.
No, it's still.
Is it still the same thing?
Yeah.
I thought they renamed it.
Splash Mountain.
Oh, it's still Splash. It's still
Splash Mountain, and they just have like scenes from the animated portion of Song of the South.
See, you expected we would get into a Disney conversation, a Star Trek movie. At the same time as Riker's getting that, I keep repeating it. I'm sorry. Then the Briar Patch, they're being attacked by those drones that are taking people away, and that's when Worf's energy comes into play, because he literally has a bat and he's hitting the drones. And
he's playing baseball.
Yeah, he's like, I feel the aggression, Captain. And he's like, good. keep up the good work.
And it also comes back later when they're on the ship.
Right. Yes. So a question I had too was, back on the bridge, there's an alien, she has like the spots on her head. Which species is that again? Is that the one...
I think it's a Trill.
Okay. Because I had it in my head, I forgot what it was. But I like seeing like the bridge always changing in each movie.
Yeah.
That's what makes the crew feel like alive, that always kind of rotating actors in and out of it. And yeah, that's when, as they're being attacked by the Son'a, they mention the subspace weapons, that they're using the bad, that they've been prohibited from use. And Riker has the idea, we're going to eject the core.
We already...
Because they opened up like a rift or something.
Yeah, we already talked about that though.
Yeah, okay. I'm following my notes, so we jumped ahead a little bit. But okay, so I like in that moment though that you're seeing like a more gung ho Riker, and it's this scene that I'm like, I want him to be a captain now, because like you see him in that moment thinking quickly. Everything that's been setting Riker up to be a captain is happening. Yes, exactly.
Picard gets them to the cavern, and then it skips back to the Enterprise, and they're catching. In order to defeat the ships, they're like, well, there's Metreon gas in this nebula.
Yeah, which has made the Briar Patch dangerous. That's what Dougherty was saying.
Right. So they collect it and expel it, which blows up the one ship and damages the other ship.
It's also funny in that moment because the ship knows, like the Son'a ship can see what's happening. They're like, well, we're just going to keep going anyway. Maybe nothing bad will happen. But
no, because I think it's the Son'a shoot the Metreon gas that they expel.
Yeah,
and it blows up in their face.
Yeah. But you've got two things in that scene to mention. One, Geordi jokes, if this succeeds, it's going to be known as the Riker maneuver.
Yeah.
So we get 2 Picard maneuvers in this movie and 2 Riker maneuvers. It'd be funny if he kind of like was trying to like straddle over the clouds with the ship. He goes, no, we got to do it this way. It's like you say on a chair. But also, it kind of made me laugh that the whole Enterprise could be controlled by just a little Atari joystick. It is so simple. I'm like, that's a huge ship, and you just have a little stick to manually control it.
The Ocean Gate sub was controlled by a PlayStation controller.
This is a spaceship. It's different. But it's just kind of like, it was like something a little like funny to me. I mean, it worked, but it's funny to me like something so powerful could be controlled by something so simple. So they destroyed the Son'a ships, and then we get back to the cave, and they're stuck in the cave, but they use like the phasers and the more powerful phasers to. Actually, it's interesting. Now I think about it, the same big weapons they had were the same ones that they used in First Contact, in the book. So I guess that's almost like the more extreme.
They're more military weapons.
Yeah. And they open up a hole, and they're getting ready to escape. And
that's when we find out that the Son'a and the Baku are the same.
Right, because early in the film, they were running out, and then they do a scan of the bodies.
Yeah.
And that might have been before, actually. But
But they reveal it later.
Yeah, but they just scan the body, they're like, how's this right? They're like, what are you talking about? They kind of keep it very vague. But as they're in the cave and they're getting ready to go to the other side, because it's a movie, they always have to have an animal that escapes. And the kid has like a little, like, gerbil animal.
Yeah.
Runs after it, Anish runs after it, then Picard runs after her. They get the kid because the cave's like starting to shake and starting to break apart.
And Anish gets pinned, and Picard get pinned.
Yeah, and that reminded me of the episode. I mean, it's a very small moment, but it reminded me of the episode where Crusher and Picard was stuck together. Yeah. Oh yeah, you're right. Man, my notes. Yeah, I'm going around on my notes too much. Yeah, you're right about then Son'a and Crusher. But anyway, Picard, like you said, he's able to tap into that moment, that power to just, I guess,
to elongate it so that they can get to him.
I guess it's also a way to just like kind of like almost like a meditation in a way. It helps slow things down, even though time's still moving. It's helping slow your presence in that moment down for you to relax.
Yeah, I think that's more what it is.
Yeah.
It's more of like a personal thing than like an external thing.
I was probably overthinking it, like I do with a lot of stuff. It's funny because I was my initial notes were right down. Like, I just want this to be over. Like, can they move on? And then, like I said, watching again, I'm like, oh, I get the moment a little bit better. But yeah, so they save Anish. But yeah, it's funny because I get to the point in my notes too. I said, like, this kind of reminds me of better TNG episodes. Like, it does. It's a compilation of a lot of better ideas and moments, but. Like I said,
I think it works. It's just not nearly as well as it did in the
especially
episodes.
from First Contact. Then the Son'a attacked him again, and sorry. So you remember this movie a lot. Well,
I took pretty detailed notes.
I did too, but this time around, I noticed that my notes were more thoughts on the film and less about everything that was happening like I usually do. I have to go back to my old notebook. But Picard and Anish are attacked along with some other abducted. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're abducted, and then the Admiral is kind of in hot water with the Son'a.
Yeah,
because they say, oh well, we're gonna just collect the we're just gonna use the collector and use it, and
that's the first time we heard them mention. You know that they had device, but this is the first time they actually mentioned the collector.
Yeah,
right. It's almost like a big winged spaceship. That's like, think of like a medicine dropper with like space wings, if you will, or sails. It's kind of like, I mean, a fun way to put it. It's like the giant vacuum from Spaceballs.
Yeah,
that's pretty much what they're doing.
And they're like, we want Picard and the Federation crew that we captured to be in the least shielded part of our spaceship, so that when the planet goes nova,
so the rings would keep the planet stable.
Yeah,
and without the rings, the planet would just explode.
Well, it would either explode or release radiation that would.
Oh, okay. It kind of would like
kill everyone.
The radiation. What was keeping it powerful and special would turn into a poison. Then the Admiral says to Picard, he's like, I'll have you court-martial for this. And Picard's like, okay, well, I don't care if it means helping these people out.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me what you do. Yeah, then we get to the Son'a, like you said, I'm just going to destroy everything. I don't care, as long as I get what I want. And as they're getting ready to leave, that's when Picard reveals the big twist that changes a lot of what you thought of in this movie.
Yeah.
That the Son'a and
the Baku are the same.
Yeah. And that was a good twist. I have to say, that kind of saved the movie a little bit more for me. Because it kind of like recontextualized everything you've seen before.
And that the Son'a are exiled members of Baku society.
Yeah, they tried to take over, they failed, and so they were sent off-world. But because they had been exposed to this radiation so long, when they left the world, they started to die and fall apart.
Yeah, and the what was it? Anish was like, I remember you.
So I wrote down the names because, like I said, they were hard to really remember.
There was Ru'afo and
I have it written down. It's Gallatin.
Yeah.
First time viewing, I forgot the names. I mean, because Ru'afo was a little bit more complex, but it's just like, I think, because you said the villains kind of blend from one to the other. You know?
They look so similar.
Yeah. I guess you think they should have made like the features a little different, at least for like main characters.
At least slightly different.
Yeah. Because like with the because like,
or at least make the uniforms different.
Yeah. Like a ranking. Kind of what Starfleet has with the colors with like the red and the yellow and the blue. Yeah.
Because it looked like they were just wearing the same outfit.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, then so that was a really good reveal, and like and he's just like, yeah, I remember you. Your mom was. This was your mom. She used to do this with you. Blah blah blah.
And you looked like you were great when we were having you on the planet.
Yeah, that's right. Because like, didn't you like seeing your friends again, seeing your family again? And then that's because like, Admiral, you screwed up. You got us involved in a blood feud between these two, the society. Yeah. And then we get to. Him getting one final... Oh, no, sorry.
We get a cheesy fight first.
We get a cheesy fight, because Ru'afo goes to the... that's a medical bay.
Yeah.
And Dougherty follows him. He goes, okay, yeah, end the mission. We're not doing this anymore. We're done. And Ru'afo's like, no, we're not done. You're done. And they get into a fight. Really strong. I guess it was the ring, because I guess everybody has a bit of a superpower in this planet. But he flips Dougherty over a railing, and then he goes onto this chair.
The face stretching machine.
Yeah, the facelift machine. And it's funny because there's a callback to early in the movie where he goes, oh, Admiral, you should do this. They'll put 20 years on your face. And he puts the Admiral in, and it stretches him out. I would say the CGI here is a little bit more goofier than the fights, because I could excuse the
dog fights,
the space and dog fights, but here it's kind of like his face is being stretched like it's silly putty. So it's still a nasty torture scene. It's very quick though. And then so Son'a says
then Son'a will kill everyone.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
He doesn't care. He doesn't even care if he lives at this point.
Yeah, he's like, you know what?
If I can't have it, no one can.
Exactly. Is that
then we get another Picard speech.
Yeah, and the speech was really good too, because Gallatin, yes. He takes Picard, and Picard's talking to him, and he's trying to reason with him, and trying to find a way for him to stop Ru'afo from doing what he's doing. And he gives a really strong speech about, I don't feel bad for me, I feel bad for you. You have a chance to kind of go back home. You have a way to stop this. Help me stop this. And finally Gallatin's like, okay, but it's going to be, I don't know what to do. He's like, how do we do it without them noticing what's happening? Because it gets an idea. And I like that, because it's established early on in the movie that he's always been a diplomat.
Yeah.
But now he's kind of like exercising those skills in this moment too. He always has.
Yeah.
He knows how to talk to people at a baseline and get them to understand something in a way that maybe they hadn't seen it before. But in order to do that, they had to go into the bridge. So they come up with an idea, and he contacts Worf. But then we cut to Data, and he's attacking the ship. with sonar. Like, oh, don't worry, he's not going to be able to stop us, whatever. And a blinding light shines.
Well, what he's trying to do is trick them into modulating their shields.
Oh, to lower their shields.
Yeah, to lower their shields. So, because remember earlier in the movie when they were trying to get it so that they were trying to capture data?
Yeah. When
he modulated his shields on his shuttle.
Oh. That's why they couldn't get him early on.
Well, they were trying to... When they were shooting his shields didn't go fully down.
Oh, okay.
They want to do that to the Son'a ship.
Oh, okay. Alright. Sometimes a lot of the techno-babicalism in my head. But so that's right, because he wants, like, I want to beef up protection. And so they think they
changed the frequency of their shield or something.
Yeah.
Which allows them to beam them.
Yeah. But before that even happens, he sets up the collector, and these the rings exploding and falling apart. He's like, yes, I did it. I succeeded. But then the ship's readings are off.
Right.
Yeah. And so
then they realize what actually happened to them.
Which is a good, again,
it's a good use of something they set up earlier in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, the movie does do that well. A lot of things come back, and especially this was the biggest thing. But I thought that was a really good twist. That, like, why is the ship not working? And, hey, they're using the whole thing against them. Because always the master strategist. As Ru'afo finds out where they are, because how does he know it, man?
The readings are off, and
the ship,
yeah,
it's like glitching.
Yeah.
And they find out that on the ship that they were planning to relocate the Baku.
With.
Also, I think the reason I got confused in the movie is because the planet's Baku and the people Baku.
Yeah.
So it was kind of, I had to kind of find a way up Baku people, Baku. But yeah, and when Ru'afo finds out what happened, he does
the best scream ever.
The best.
Yeah!
It is the best scream of a no since Revenge of the Sith. It was just, I wasn't expecting that because like Admiral Abraham was playing it very kind of over the top, but not too much. But man, this moment and earlier we got to know, but this was just interesting choice. I guess it was.
It honestly reminded me of Roger when he doesn't get his way.
Yes. Oh man, I want to see Roger in this movie now. The only from American Dad. That's true. But yeah, it's just it's comically bad, but in a fun way. And then we realized that they were able to stop the Son'a from completing the mission, but it's not over yet. Because even though they're on the holodeck,
they were able to figure out a way off, or at least for him,
Ru'afo, to go on the collector manually. So he was essentially going on a suicide mission, right?
Right.
Was he?
Well, at this point he didn't care who lived or who died. He was just like, I'm.
Is it because would you say he's dying anyway, and he's not going to get what he needs to keep on living? So he goes, fine. If I'm going, I don't really care what happens to me.
Yeah, pretty much.
So Picard goes over to the collector because he has to stop him manually.
That set for the collector was really nice too.
I did. It's funny because on the second viewing I was watching, you know how they film a lot of stuff against blue screens?
Yeah.
I've been watching, I'm like, did they meant to have more effects in this scene? Because the blue screens are very blue. It's obviously part of the set, but in my head, I wonder if it's supposed to be look a little different. Somebody forget to fill it in. But no, the set was kind of cool, and it kind of offered a very fun action set piece.
Yeah.
That he can move around and hide behind things. But yeah, Picard comes in with his big bazooka. And at that moment, the sonar that were on the holodeck ship are going back on the ship, and that's when they fight Worf. And I gotta say, Worf gets a good action scene. He almost is able to take them all down.
Yeah.
I mean, did you feel at times you in the movies you kind of see Worf being a better security officer?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Why so?
I think it's partially the stories and partially just his time on Deep Space Nine. He's learned more skills of being a better commander, and
yeah, that's a good answer. Yeah. Oh yeah. So as they're taking on the bridge, the Enterprise shows up, and Picard's still fighting. And it's funny, too, because it also, again, reminded me a little bit of Return of the Jedi. The way the collector ship was. 'Cause it reminded me of, like, where Luke and Vader were fighting before they throw the Empire down the shaft. Spoiler alert for Return of the Jedi if you haven't seen it, I guess.
Point.
And as that's happening, it's Picard's trying to, I guess, reverse where the energy and the power from the collector's going to come out. He's going to almost try and implode it, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? The Son'a see the Enterprise, and Riker's looking at it, he goes, they know how many Baku are on the ship, and they know one Klingon, so they know Worf and the Baku. So Riker's like, okay, go forward. And they're playing a game of chicken in space.
Yeah.
But really, and they're like, you won't do that. And I like how Worf has two funny lines in this movie, I gotta say. And he's like, no, he will. They're like, he's not gonna ram the ship into us. He goes, no, he will. Yeah, it's Riker.
He's done it before.
Yeah. And so I think the Son'a do get out of the way first. But really, he's hitting their, like, resources.
Yeah,
so the life support systems.
Yeah, he's trying to. He hits the life support system and a couple of other, like, major things, like I think the shields.
Yeah. So there's a strategy to what Riker's doing. Again, it's showing, like, in this moment, like,
he's a good strategist.
He's a good strategist. He has that captain capability. In this movie that you kind of starting to see grow in the TNG show.
Yeah.
So after he does that, Picard succeeds in his mission. He destroys the collector, and he beams out as we kind of get a subtle no from Ru'afo.
Jeez. As it's blowing up and the flames are engulfing him.
Or at least he has it. Every time you scream no, his like kind of head jerked to like the left or right. And he's like, nah. So he's in that body.
He's about to say that.
Yeah. And then Worf contacts the Enterprise, and he's like, oh, they have 3 minutes left of air. They want to have a ceasefire. And Riker's like, we got plenty. Oh no. Worf says, oh, Captain. And Picard and Riker both at the same moment say yes, and they kind of look at each other. Like, that's why I feel like in this moment, this movie especially, Riker finally...
He's finally got that captain mentality.
Mm-hmm. And Worf's like, oh, they have 3 minutes up there, you want to come aboard? And they're like, yeah, we got plenty over here, come on board. So it's funny, and then they go back to the planet, back on Baku, and that's, again, when I was thinking about Worf and Deanna, like, did they... forget what happened. It would have been interesting to have one moment where the two of them kind of mad and say,
I don't think it's
needed.
I don't think it's needed, and I don't think, especially knowing where Worf's at in this timeline, it's kind of superfluous, and it kind of detracts from that storyline.
Yes, but I guess for somebody who hasn't seen Deep Space Nine, you kind of feel like there's a lingering plot thread that you would like a little moment up between the two of them. But at the same time, Riker's like, oh, should I go after her? He's like, yeah, definitely, go for it, Riker. So I guess that kind of sums it up. But yeah, for me, because you've seen DS9, so you know the journey that Worf goes on.
Yeah.
For me, I'm just watching as a movie, and I feel like those like little thoughts in my head, like, that'd be nice to have a little moment between the two of them. Like, how have you been? What have you been up to? Would have helped me as a viewer, too, to kind of get to speed with Worf. But I think that would have kind of, like, alienated the audience a little bit, too, if they're just coming to see this one movie.
And then we get a scene with Data learning to play.
Yeah, and touches the theme of embracing the moment. Oh, I thought it was also sweet, too, because, that's how with Data, Gallatin actually gets to see his mom again.
Yeah.
And you see, like, I think it was Troy was there, but she's like, or Crusher, I forget. That they're like, oh, maybe the healing process can begin. Like, and it makes me wonder, like, do you think Gallatin will heal? Will he get back to what he looked like before he left the planet? Or is his body so broken?
I don't know. I like that they left it open. But yeah, it's one of those things, like, it may be, if given enough time.
But at least the emotional aspect is there that they can start to heal.
They can start to heal the broken.
And I guess it wouldn't be just him, too. It'd be the other Son'a, too. Because they were captured and they were sent to the planet. It wasn't like they were going to... I mean, it kind of left ambiguous, but I like to think that
they're gonna reintegrate them into the society.
It's a case of, like, somebody maybe, like, runs away from home and they do a lot of bad stuff, but they're able to return home.
They're still family.
They still come home and they're able to try to, like, start over again. So like it's a nice little message of the movie, along with appreciating the moment. Picard's talking to Anish, and
he's like, "Well, I got shore leave coming up.
Yeah,
I got 350 days of shore leave."
And I mean, between like this relationship compared to the other ones he's had, how do you like this one more?
I actually really enjoyed this one because I guess she taught him a little more about living in the moment.
Yeah, because the other relationships he's had have been people that have the same spirit and energy of running out or furthering their career, and this is the first time he's kind of met somebody that at least I can remember who's like, it's okay to slow down.
Yeah,
to appreciate the moment.
And she's very much like him in that way. She's like,
really? Oh,
well, I mean, he's very much like, he's like, in my older age, I'm learning that I need to slow down, and I need to learn to appreciate things more.
Because I'm not always rushing to the next thing. Actually, that kind of ties into his quote from Generations too.
Yeah,
about enjoying time because time's with you, and to make every moment that it's with you precious, and special.
Yeah. Hey, time is a theme throughout these movies so far.
Man, is it gonna be the theme in the next one?
I don't know.
I hope so. It'd be a nice kind of way to look at all these films. But yeah, and I thought so. This was interesting because the movie ends like the final scene is Data playing in these
in the haystacks.
In the haystacks with the other kid, which is how the movie started.
Yeah,
so they're kind of like showing Data taking that. Like they all learn these lessons about how to live life, and he's getting his lesson to be a kid. You know, like that he can just have fun without any reason.
And the kid's like, going back to your ship, you have to learn. You have to play every day.
And that 72-year-old, 12-year-old. No, okay. But no, yeah, and it's just kind of, and he does do that because he kind of like this like taps Riker on the face. That's a joke. But I also liked in that scene where they're getting ready to leave. It kind of reminds you of like when you were younger and like you'd be playing with a friend and it's time to go and you're like, okay, bye. Because I like how they filmed that scene where like they pop out of the haystacks and like, Data, we gotta go home. Like he's acting like a kid. And he's like, I gotta go home now. Bye. And he's like, bye. It's just very kind of like
really
it's not like, try to sense of closure or whatever. It's just like, okay, I'll see you later. Data, we'll see how much fun Data has in the next movie. Do we see Anish again? No,
I don't
because
think so.
Does she show up in Picard?
I don't think so.
Why? I feel like it's that very kind of like the trope of the show too. Like they meet somebody, but it's also like a case of the space explorers, so not always going to be in contact with people constantly, especially because they're going to be so far away. And this planet, especially, is so hidden away from everything else.
Yeah.
That it makes sense that they want to meet, but who knows? Maybe Picard did meet up with her again. And then we get them beamed up to the ship.
And then the movie ends.
Yes. And we get the music. And then post-credits scene. No, I'm kidding. Not in this movie. But yeah, do you want to go first or do you want me to go first? I'll have you go first.
I would say I enjoyed this movie a second time around more than I did my first watch. Mm-hmm. But again, it's been like years since I watched it the first time.
Did you see this in theaters or did you see it?
No, I just saw it when it was on TV.
Mm-hmm. Did you see this before the other movies or did you watch the other ones like in order?
I think I watched First Contact first. Mm-hmm. Maybe Generations.
Yeah.
But
that doesn't change how you view this.
No.
At least. Okay. Go ahead.
And yeah, it just feels like the themes of this movie and the story of this movie were done better in TNG episodes, mm-hmm. but it doesn't make this a bad movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like I said, I'll make sure I have some soda when I watch the next movie, so I a little more focused. But yeah, first time around, I think you just expect so much more from the next movie after First Contact, because the First Contact was so fun, exciting, and action-packed. I still had like the themes.
It balanced the themes with the action and everything else.
First Contact was just a really exciting movie, and then you jump to this movie where, like, when you watch it the first time, you're like, this feels like a long episode. And when you watch it again,
it really does feel like a long episode, but it's I guess that's kind of in its favor and against it.
Yeah, what I mean is when you watch it a repeat viewing, you get what they were going for. Like, well, let's make an episode on a movie scale We don't need the action or the crazy effects that we have in First Contact. We could just do what we've been doing, just on a bigger setting. And in some ways, like you said, it works and it doesn't. I think the way it works is that the themes are still solid.
Yeah.
It's a combination of, some better episodes, but equally good themes. I feel like the movie's this weakest part was really that they didn't try to hide the metaphor or tone down the villainy as much. I think if they did that, it would have made it a more interesting movie.
It felt like the villains were cartoon caricatures more than like actual villains.
Yeah, like you got what they were going for, especially at the reveal that they were the same species of the Baku.
Yeah,
but up to that point, you're just like mustache twirling villains. Like you see them and you're like, they're bad. And when I watch a Star Trek movie, I don't want to say that, or an episode, say that immediately. I want to say, well, maybe there's something about them that I just don't understand yet.
Yeah. I mean, even you could say that about the Borg Queen.
Yeah. When you find out like what she's trying to do, like I don't obviously agree with it, but like you get where she's coming from. But this one, it's just kind of like, we need the resources. We're gonna get them. Like it almost makes you wonder if they looked more like the Baku, but just like starting to like the skin was peeling off. They didn't make them so overtly
decrepit.
Yeah, it would have made it a little bit more like why do they need that? Oh, then like the skin peels off and you realize that underneath it is like rotten skin. But yeah, no, it was. I can see why people are frustrated, like because like I said, you want this to be a more thrilling adventure, especially as a big screen movie,
especially after the highs of First Contact.
Yeah, and so when you get something that's just like a TNG episode done to a feature-length scale on a feature-length screen, I mean, that doesn't make any sense. My teeth wearing off. You're kind of just like, I wanted more out of that. But then when you watch it again, knowing what you're in store for, you're like, okay, yeah, that actually works better than I thought it was. It doesn't make it better than the last movie, but it kind of gives me everything that I've come to expect from Next Generation or any Star Trek episode.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, if like I said, the villains were a little bit better handled, I think it would have made it a little bit a better movie in some ways.
Yeah.
But overall, yeah, it's a decent film. If you like Next Generation and you know what you want in an episode, you get this in this movie. Just maybe don't expect as much as you're thinking.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I actually have a question for you.
Okay. It's my chance to ask a question, but go ahead. Yeah.
No, I asked the Generations question, so.
No, I did the.
You did the First Contact question.
Oh, so you asked me.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been sitting around trying to come up with a question for you this whole time.
I actually have a question for you.
Okay.
Since this movie is essentially a long episode of television, is there any episode of a television show that you think would work well as a movie?
I remember hearing ideas about this when Game of Thrones was still on. Like Game of Thrones. Like if maybe that last episode kind of did what Stranger Things did. It got like a big screen, huge cinematic story to show. That would be really cool. Yeah, to see like the dragons fighting and the big battles on a big screen. Game of Thrones would be pretty cool. And I'm trying to think of anything else. I mean, I'm looking for the Simpsons. As is recording, the Simpsons sequel is going to happen. So, see a Simpsons movie. I guess Family Guy. I know like people have mentioned a Family Guy movie. That'd be fun to see on the big screen. And I guess I have to pick one more because it's nice to do things in threes. This is harder than I thought. I guess I'll just go with those two. Yeah, Game of Thrones and Family Guy.
Okay.
Especially because I think everybody's still hoping for a Family Guy movie at some time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Personally, I would say I definitely agree with you on the Game of Thrones thing. Actually, I think that whole final season should have been a series of movies.
Oh, like they released like kind of like what like 28 years later is doing, like every 28 weeks. Like that would have been cool.
And then I think second thing I would choose would have been. It really is hard,
right? Yeah.
Actually, I would have liked Deep Space Nine to get a series of movies.
Yeah, that's what something I think about too, of how like the next Star Trek when we get it's going to be the last one until the J.J. Abrams movie, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of feel bad for like DS9 and Voyager that maybe you could say even Enterprise, they never got a chance to jump to the big screen and get a adventure that was bigger than what they got on the TV.
Right.
So you're saying that, like, do you have, like, an idea in your mind of what you would have liked the DS9 movie to be about?
I would have liked the DS9 movie to be, like, have it set during the series. Mm-hmm. Have it set during the Dominion War, and have, like, a Dominion War movie.
Do you think that could ever happen?
I doubt it.
Because like, a whole new trajectory with Star Trek.
Yeah.
And stuff.
And then... It really is hard.
Yeah, because like, I mean, I watch a lot, but like it's like trying to like narrow one down. You know what? One I was thinking about is, and I don't know if this would ever happen, but the studio on Apple TV, it's a show about them making movies. It'd be fun if they made a movie about making a movie as the movie's happening. Like you see, like happening in a day. Well, we kind of get that for like 30 minutes, but to get that for like an hour and a half, and subplots going on around.
For me, I would say For All Mankind.
I was thinking of that too. Yeah.
Like that series is still one of my favorite TV series on Apple TV, and I hope if they go for at least 2 more seasons, they do have a movie.
Yeah.
To just cap it off.
It gets to the hard part is kind of like with a movie versus a show is what's the one story we have to tell in this moment of what's happening in the story, and it makes me wonder like what For All Mankind would settle on if they ever did that.
Well, I mean, For All Mankind, each season is essentially a 10-hour movie, so they just take one of the ideas for their season and just condense it down to like a 2-hour movie.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of shows you could do that with to make it into a big screen. You just have to find a way to kind of like keep the charm of what the show was, just explored in a new way.
Yeah.
With a bigger runtime and a bigger landscape and so
a little bit bigger budget.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm still hoping for a Family Guy movie one day.
Yeah, I wouldn't be against the Family Guy movie or even American Dad movie for that matter.
I love American Dad movie. Just make it all about Roger. That's all I want. Okay, cool. Again, I thought I was the one asking the question. I guess I was just so focused on talking about this movie, I completely forgot that I asked about the question last time. Anything else about the movie? Are you good?
No, I'm good. Okay. Let's plug the socials. Okay. We're at _franchise_connection at Instagram.com. You can email us at franchiseconnectionpodcast@gmail.com, and please we give us questions, comments, suggestions.
Let us know what TV shows you would think would make a good movie or movie series.
Yeah, and also please contact if you want to contact us on our socials. Please do. Just our DMs are open. Yeah. You can
let us know how we're doing. We want to know what should we do better. What we're doing okay. Just help us make this show better. It takes the listeners to be a part of it too. All right.
Alrighty.
Okay. Thank you for tuning into a review for Star Trek Insurrection. Come back next time as the Romulans make their big screen debut with Star Trek Nemesis. And so, this is another TNG movie that I hadn't seen. I haven't seen yet. What should I look forward to in this movie? I know Tom Hardy shows up in it. I know the big secret about what he is in the film. But other than that, what should I look forward to?
It's been a while.
Is it as bad as everybody says it is?
Yes and no. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's not a great movie. No, it's so bad it's actually entertaining in some ways.
Should I make sure I have a soda when I watch this movie?
Probably. Okay. It's not as nearly as boring as Insurrection is on a first watch.
Okay.
It's kind of like the entertaining bad movie.
So a lot of like when the dogfight was happening, and I'm like, what's going on? The singing that each like not to that extent, but just like, what's going on? Why is this happening?
Yeah, okay. It's a lot of baffling decisions.
Does it end the series, this film series, in a way where I'll be like, okay, that ends the TNG storyline. I'm fine with that.
In some ways, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, just be prepared for the first scene of the movie to be a giant wedding scene.
Okay, that's cool. We have seen that on Star Trek. O'Brien married Kiko.
Yeah.
in the one episode. Does Picard officiate?
I don't remember. All I remember is that it's the wedding scene,
Okay.
and it's between characters that you know and love.
I know who they are.
Yeah.
I know who it is. Like I said, I know some of the movie. I caught one scene on TV one day. So I'm looking forward to just seeing what the last TNG movie is all about. And I guess I'm going like, my expectations are so low, because every time I mention to somebody, they're like, But, I mean, I guess it says
all I remember is it being a very bafflingly bad movie, but for reasons that are kind of like entertainingly baffling.
Did you see this in theaters?
I don't believe I did.
All right. And
I might have,
but this is going to be the first time you've watched it in probably like 20 years or so.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a long.
It's a case of like, I watched it once and I'm okay with watching it for a while.
It's not even that.
Yeah.
It's just I caught it on TV when I watched it.
Okay.
And I mean, I don't purposely go out and search for it to watch, but I'm not against watching it.
Yeah. Alright. Well, the poster looks cool, so that means the movie should look cool too. Until franchise fatigue sets in, I'm Matt Fisher.
I'm Matt Sparrow.
For the Franchise Connection. Bye.
Bye.